Hello everyone. Um, my name is Rocío Díaz, and this is my first virtual journal entry in integrated language 5 course. We have been discussing various topics among the first unit, being the first concept of power in language. In relation to information, the power is expressed by the form in which the piece of information is presented, and making emphasis in some words of or phrases. This is the work that editors do in newspapers and TV channels. Um, to adapt the lexicon of the news to the perspective that these kind of entities have of the world. And for example, it is not the same to use the word catastrophic to refer to a situation um, that to use the word unfortunate, for example, because the picture could be described with both words, but the emphasis of each word is different. In that sense, it would be completely fair to have a different points of view of the facts, but I think that to manipulate the information, to do not give an integral complete way of itself, it is not correct. Now about languages, their characteristics and the comparisons that we can make. We saw a text called The Equality of Languages, and I read something that caught my attention, and I will quote it. And it says, how ultimately could we compare the merit of Latin and Greek with the proverbial wisdom of Chinese, the extensive oral literature of the Polynesian islands, or the depth of scientific knowledge which has been expressed in English? Perhaps one day some kind of objective linguistic evaluation measure will be devised, but until then, the thesis that some languages are intrinsically better than others has to be denied. Now, in that sense, to perfect or finish kind of extensively a measuring method for language will be hardly possible, because I do not think that comparing knowledge subjects or themes will be correct. For example, I do not think that solving a math problem is more important than reflecting on literature, but they're just different types of knowledge. Uh, Now, about language and identity. This part is funny because this topic became very clear to me with the Chilean Spanish word sobremesa, which was an example that was given in class, and I thought and tried to translate this word in vain, obviously. Uh, and I thought like over table, but I think that uh, thinking more deeply about that, I understood that in other cultures, people do not spend time after lunch or dinner talking about, I don't know, everything and nothing. And that made me reflect that culture is reflected on language. And for example, our culture have been influenced by many others, but I think that we do not eat with chopsticks yet. I mean, the influence is not that deep to get into language at this point. Now, in relation to vocabulary, an important new concept was conversation fillers, which are words or utterances that are said between one conversation and another, and when the speakers are thinking in the next theme, or when the previous one is all gone, or there's nothing more to say. Uh, in English and Spanish, for example, weather is a conversation filler, but uh, to make it more meaningful for me, I search for Japanese conversation fillers because I'm learning a bit of Japanese. And for example, one of them is eto, that is kind of hesitating, and other one is sono, which is that, and in Spanish will be eso, and in English will be a yeah, like yeah. And for me this is kind of inspiring because out of making differences between languages, sometimes, like this time, we can find some common features for us to think that culturally or linguistically we are not that different. So about that, thumbs up. Now, to improve my language skills, uh, let's see. Reading is really matter of effort and self-challenging, I think. And for example, I have been reading the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. Um, but by reading, I think that I'm also improving writing skills. Um, and by using those new words um, by speaking, um, and that affects those two aspects of language, which is speaking and writing. But I think that I have to be careful because this reading is not contemporary, so thus some of those words are not used anymore, so I have to be careful of which of those words should I take to my own lexicon. Um, Now, my goal in speaking is improving my intonation, but I'm not that sure how to do that. I should ask my teachers. Hey, teachers. I think that my pronunciation, obviously, it's not perfect, but it is fairly understandable, so I can focus in other aspects of my language skills at this stage. And I think that's it. That's all, folks, and thanks for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.